Have you ever stopped to think about the fact that nearly 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, with no savings, no emergency fund, and no clear plan for their financial future? It's a staggering statistic, especially when you consider that many of these individuals are working hard, earning decent incomes, and yet still struggling to make ends meet. But what's even more disturbing is that this cycle of financial stress is not just a matter of circumstance. It's often a result of the way we think about money. You see, the way we think about money is shaped by our experiences, our environment, and our social class. And if you're part of the middle class, chances are you're thinking about money in a way that's holding you back from achieving true financial freedom. A study by Dr. Elizabeth Dunn, a psychologist at the University of British Columbia, found that people who earn more than $75,000 per year do not experience a significant increase in happiness. In other words, once you've reached a certain level of financial comfort, additional income does not necessarily translate to greater happiness. But here's the thing. The wealthy think about money differently than the middle class. They don't just see money as a means to an end, a way to pay the bills, buy nice things, and enjoy some comforts. They see money as a tool, a resource that can be leveraged to create more wealth, more freedom, and more opportunities. They think about money in terms of investing, growing, and multiplying it, rather than just earning and spending it. And this mindset, this way of thinking about money, is what sets them apart from the middle class. As Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, a renowned researcher on wealth and affluence, notes in his book, The Millionaire Next Door, the wealthy tend to be more frugal, more disciplined, and more strategic in their financial decision-making. They are not necessarily more intelligent or more talented than the middle class, but they have a different mindset, a different approach to money that allows them to build and maintain wealth over time. Now, I want to talk about one of the key differences in the way the wealthy think about money. According to a study by Dr. Brad Klontz, a financial psychologist at Creighton University, people who are wealthy tend to have a more positive relationship with money. They see money as a source of freedom, a source of opportunity, and a source of security. They are not afraid of money, they are not intimidated by it, and they are not controlled by it. In contrast, many people in the middle class have a more negative relationship with money. They see money as a source of stress, a source of anxiety, and a source of worry. They are afraid of not having enough, afraid of losing what they have, and afraid of making mistakes. And this fear, this anxiety, this negative mindset is what holds them back from achieving their financial goals. As Dr. Klontz notes, our thoughts and feelings about money are often shaped by our childhood experiences, our family dynamics, and our social environment. So, if you grew up in a household where money was a source of stress and anxiety, chances are you may be carrying some of those same thoughts and feelings into your adult life. The wealthy also tend to think about money in terms of abundance, rather than scarcity. They believe that there is always more money to be made, more opportunities to be seized, and more wealth to be created. They are not limited by a fixed mindset, a mindset that says there's only so much money to go around, and I need to grab as much of it as I can. Instead, they have a growth mindset, a mindset that says there's always more money to be made, and I can create it through my own efforts and ingenuity. This mindset is what allows them to take calculated risks, to invest in themselves and their businesses, and to pursue their passions with confidence and enthusiasm. As Dr. Carol Dweck, a psychologist at Stanford University, notes in her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, a growth mindset is essential for achieving success in any area of life, including finance. When we believe that our abilities and our financial situation can be developed and improved, we are more likely to take action, to learn from our mistakes, and to persist in the face of obstacles. The way we think about money is also influenced by our social class, our education level, and our occupation. For example, a study by Dr. Michael Norton, a professor at Harvard Business School, found that people who are more educated and more affluent tend to be more financially literate. They are more likely to understand basic financial concepts, such as compound interest, diversification, and tax planning. They are more likely to have a long-term perspective, to think about their financial goals in terms of years and decades, rather than just months and weeks. And they are more likely to have a plan, a strategy for achieving their financial goals, rather than just winging it and hoping for the best. But here's the thing. Financial literacy is not just about knowing the right concepts and strategies. It's also about having the right mindset, the right attitude towards money. It's about being willing to learn, to adapt, and to evolve over time. And it's about being open to new ideas, new perspectives, and new opportunities. As we explore the differences in the way the wealthy think about money, it's clear that there are some key patterns and themes that emerge. The wealthy tend to be more strategic, more disciplined, and more patient in their financial decision-making. They tend to think about money in terms of investing, growing, and multiplying it, rather than just earning and spending it. And they tend to have a more positive relationship with money, a relationship that is based on freedom, opportunity, and security, rather than stress, anxiety, and worry. But what does this mean for the rest of us? How can we start to think about money in a way that's more like the wealthy, more like the people who are achieving financial freedom and living the life they want? It's not just about making more money or having more wealth. It's about having a different mindset, a different approach to money that allows us to build and maintain wealth over time. And it's about being willing to challenge our assumptions, to question our beliefs, and to try new things. As we'll explore in the second half of this video, there are some key signs that you may be thinking like the middle class, and some key strategies that you can use to start thinking like the wealthy. So, let's dive back into the 5 signs you're thinking like the middle class, and explore how the wealthy think about money differently. As we discussed earlier, the wealthy tend to focus on long-term growth rather than short-term gains. This is evident in the way they approach investing, with a study by Charles Schwab finding that 70% of affluent investors prioritize long-term growth over short-term returns. On the other hand, the middle class often prioritizes short-term needs, such as paying off debt or building up their savings account. For instance, imagine you're at a dinner party and someone mentions they just invested in a hot new stock that's supposed to double in value within the next year. The middle class might be tempted to jump on the bandwagon, hoping to make a quick profit. But the wealthy would likely take a step back, assess the risks, and consider whether this investment aligns with their long-term financial goals. As researcher Daniel Kahneman notes, the human brain is wired to respond to short-term rewards, but the wealthy have learned to override this instinct and prioritize long-term growth. Another key difference in the way the wealthy think about money is their attitude towards debt. While the middle class often views debt as a necessary evil, the wealthy see it as a tool to be used strategically. For example, they might take out a low-interest loan to invest in a business or real estate, using the debt to leverage their returns. This approach is supported by a study by Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, which found that 70% of millionaires use debt to finance their investments. In contrast, the middle class often views debt as a source of stress and anxiety, and tries to pay it off as quickly as possible. But the wealthy understand that debt can be a powerful tool when used correctly. As Dr. Stanley notes, debt can be a powerful ally if used to finance investments that have a high potential for return. So, how can you start thinking like the wealthy when it comes to debt? One practical step is to take a close look at your own debt and consider whether you can use it more strategically. For example, if you have high-interest credit card debt, you might consider consolidating it into a lower-interest loan and using the savings to invest in a retirement account or other long-term investment. Another step is to start thinking about how you can use debt to leverage your returns. For instance, if you're considering starting a side business, you might take out a small loan to finance your initial investments and use the returns to pay off the loan and build up your business. As researcher Robert Kiyosaki notes, the wealthy don't work for money, they make money work for them. And using debt strategically is one way to do just that. A third step is to start prioritizing long-term growth over short-term needs. This might mean cutting back on discretionary spending and putting more money into your retirement account or other long-term investments. It might also mean taking a closer look at your investment portfolio and considering whether you need to rebalance it to prioritize long-term growth. For example, imagine you're currently investing in a mix of stocks and bonds, but you're not sure whether you're taking on too much risk. The wealthy would likely take a step back, assess their overall financial goals, and consider whether they need to adjust their investment strategy to prioritize long-term growth. As Dr. Kahneman notes, the key to long-term success is to prioritize your goals and make decisions that align with those goals, and this is especially true when it comes to investing. Finally, It's worth noting that the wealthy often have a very different mindset when it comes to money. They tend to be more optimistic and more focused on the possibilities that money can provide. In contrast, the middle class often views money as a source of stress and anxiety. As researcher Angela Duckworth notes, the wealthy tend to have a growth mindset and see money as a tool for achieving their goals, whereas the middle class often has a fixed mindset and sees money as a source of limitation. So, how can you start thinking like the wealthy when it comes to your mindset? One practical step is to start practicing gratitude and focusing on the things that you're thankful for. This might mean keeping a gratitude journal or simply taking a few minutes each day to reflect on the good things in your life. As Dr. Duckworth notes, gratitude is a powerful antidote to stress and anxiety, and it can help you start thinking more like the wealthy and prioritizing long-term growth and optimism. Another step is to start reframing your thoughts about money and seeing it as a tool for achieving your goals. For example, instead of viewing a large purchase as a source of stress, you might see it as an opportunity to invest in yourself or your business. As Dr. Kiyosaki notes, the wealthy don't see money as a source of stress, they see it as a source of freedom. And this mindset can be incredibly powerful in achieving long-term financial success. In real life, this might mean taking a closer look at your budget and considering whether you can make some adjustments to prioritize long-term growth. For instance, you might decide to cut back on dining out and put the savings into a retirement account or other long-term investment. Or, you might decide to take on a side hustle and use the extra income to pay off debt or build up your savings. Whatever your goals, the key is to start thinking like the wealthy and prioritizing long-term growth and optimism. As Dr. Kahneman notes, the wealthy have a very different mindset when it comes to money, and by adopting this mindset, you can start achieving your own long-term financial goals. If this helped you think about money differently, subscribe. I post new finance insights every single day. And if you want to go even deeper, check the link in the description for The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It changed how millions of people think and act.